Color. Color has a tremendous effect on how we perceive the media we consume. Let's take this scene from Denis Villeneuve's Blade Runner 2049 as an example. While watching, ask yourself, what emotions do the colors convey, and how do the colors define the setting? If you look at this same scene in black and white, do you notice the depth of information you are suddenly lacking? The original scene has the clear background information of being in an apocalyptic setting, as orange, when used to color the whole atmosphere, is something we naturally associate with inhospitable environments. In the black and white version of this scene, we fully lose this information, so we can no longer be so deeply immersed in it, and we don't truly see where we are in the context of the story. As we delve into the realm of cinematic coloration, we'll uncover how Blade Runner uses transitional color to immerse us in its dystopian world, while Maria Peters, the conductor, employs associative techniques to deepen our connection with the main character. Let's begin with Blade Runner 2049. We'll first explore color symbolism, then dive into its overall transitional technique, starting with the color green. Traditionally, in color theory, the color green is most commonly associated with the natural world and life. This explains why the color is so rarely seen throughout the film, showcasing the desolation of this dystopian world. Creating a color palette from this scene reveals a monochromatic color scheme, where one base color dominates, varying only in brightness. This technique ensures that the viewer isn't overwhelmed while emphasizing the significance of that base color. In modern Western cultures, white is commonly associated with truth, stemming from historical religious influences. In the film, it also stands for information, signaling to viewers that something important is unfolding. Emotionally, white conveys a sense of coldness and sterility, enhancing the portrayal of the bleak and loveless settings in the movie. The again monochromatic color palette showcases subtle blue-gray hints, further enhancing the cold and sterile feel of the environment. Let's now explore the most distinctive colors in this movie: orange and yellow. These colors symbolize moments of enlightenment during major plot revelations, for example, Anna being the daughter of Rick. They also stand for caution and warning. Their prominent presence enhances the setting, subtly signaling to viewers that something isn't quite right in this world. Analyzing the movie's major colors on a timeline, we see effective transitional color use. Each location has a unique theme, immersing us in the story and conveying clear intentions for scenes. This technique establishes subconscious patterns, enhancing anticipation and world building. This is why in different films such as The Conductor, a different technique called associative color is used. We will have a look at two scenes and the color progression throughout the film, and then have the director of photography of the movie, Rolf Dekens, explain how he approaches the topic of color in the projects he works on. We'll start by analyzing a still frame of our protagonist, Antonia, at a piano. This monochromatic color palette ranges from beige and warm white to rich brown and black. This creates the era's atmosphere we would expect, without distracting from what is happening in the scene. Our focus shifts to Antonia in her neighborhood. The wide shot frames a departing car, leaving her alone, echoing her homelessness. As we transition to a view from behind her discarded furniture, used as a makeshift trampoline by a kid, the camera's deliberate slowdown accentuates the emotional weight. The scene concludes with a wide shot of her and the child bouncing on her bed from behind, symbolizing her involuntary abandonment of her former life. In this scene, the associative color technique is evident, with a consistent beige-brown monochromatic palette that maintains emotional continuity despite the change in location. This palette acts as a guiding thread throughout the entire movie. You can see that this color continuity holds true for all scenes, creating an emotional resonance that guides the audience through this unique narrative. In film, this technique is known as associative color. As we continue to explore color in film, let us now listen to Rolf Dekens, the director of photography for The Conductor, as he explains his approach to utilizing color in his work.
The use of color is very important in a movie. I did a show, it's called Legacy, the Stamhouder in Dutch. And we were very keen on the use of color palette in advance. So months before we started shooting, we already did weeks before we start shooting, we already did makeup tests and wardrobe tests. You bring the camera, which you're going to use, with the lenses you're going to use, and then you're going to shoot the actors. They're going to make up and everybody's looking and having a very intelligent eyes and what way can we trust this? It's a very serious day. And with that material, you go to a colorist and you choose the colors which work and which don't, and certain skin tones which work and don't. You make several pre-color graded setups. We call them LUTs. You have like 10 of them, and you put them in the camera. And on the day, you can pick those colors from a different. You can pick the color schemes for the scene you're shooting. Okay. So, with this show, the Stamhouder, Legacy in English, we used a lot of desaturated tones when we used the Second World War, and we used very bright and high key yellow tones when we're shooting the 1970s, because that's what the audience associates indeed with that time era. So you do pick those colors up in front and you put them in the camera, but at the end you start all over again. So the editing is done, you sit with the colorist again, and then you start from scratch. You do it all over again to really fit what's happening in the story at that moment. Colors are very important for the mood of the film, but it's all in the subconscious of the viewer. Okay. So as a cinematographer, you pay a lot of attention to it, and the viewer just takes it in their subconscious. Broadly, you could say, well, if I work, I use blue nights, for example, and if it's a comedy, I use a lot of saturation, so it makes you feel happy. So yeah, it's a lot of psychology involved, and it's not easily pointed out in just a couple of sentences. It changes every project. The main colors I usually use, and where people ask me for, is when at nighttime I pick a bluish color scheme, and we always say nights are blue, and it's just because to really tell the audience that it's nighttime. And even when we shoot at daytime, and we pretend that it's night, we still make it blue. So it's called day for night. It's a whole different technique. But anyway, that's one thing I use. But after a couple of movies having blue nights, I get sick of it and I want to do something else. So I make them green, or I make them yellow, or if it's in the city, it's the purple. It's a process. And the older you get, you can check more things you already did, so you want to experiment more.
As we wrap up our exploration of color in cinema, our journey through the worlds of Blade Runner, 2049 and The Conductor has shed light on the profound impact of color in storytelling. Whether through transitional or associative means, these films have demonstrated the diverse and compelling role that color plays in filmmaking, and how even a simple monochromatic palette can seem like it is so much more. As you prepare to watch your next cinematic experience, take a moment to reflect on the significance of color. Beyond its visual appeal, it serves as a subtle yet powerful storyteller, influencing your emotional engagement and enhancing the narrative. So, as you immerse yourself in the world of cinema, allow the colors to guide you, enrich your understanding, and foster deeper connections with the stories unfolding on screen.